Hi everyone and welcome to Power and Freedom. I'm Alana Hunt, founder of Power and Freedom and powerandfreedom.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. So we've been talking a lot about acceptance, self-acceptance and accepting other people over the last few weeks or last week or two. It's kind of been the topic of conversation, which has been quite interesting. And I was fairly sure we were going to go on to something different today, but as it's turned out, I was having a wee chat with somebody this morning and it reminded me of something that actually fits within this idea of self-acceptance. So I'm calling this part 3 of self-acceptance, and it's about meeting yourself where you are. You must meet yourself where you are. What do I mean by that? You know, we have this tendency to sort of put ourselves out in the future as to how we want our lives to be or where we want to be in our lives, and we're pushing, and sometimes we can kind of leave ourselves behind, and it's really important that we take the time to meet ourselves where we are. So I was having a chat, as I say, this morning with someone, and I was going to have I was actually going to talk about something quite different today, but as we were talking, it reminded me of a conversation that I have with people quite a lot of the time. So I do two things. I do power and freedom and personal development. And obviously I do some coaching with people around this concept of stepping into your best life and, you know, living your life on your way and how to harness the tools that some of the tools I'm sharing with you now, how you can figure out how it is that you're creating the results of your life or the reality that you see, and how you can perhaps shift that so that you see more of what you actually want to experience. Gosh, things are sliding here terribly. Sorry, I'll just put everything back. Hopefully that's okay now. I don't know why everything was sliding around. That's not very helpful. And so the other thing that I also do is I work with heart-centered entrepreneurs, and I help them clarify their message, create programs, do all sorts of things in the digital world, and help them not just with the technology, but also with how they communicate with the people that they want to reach and the people that they want to help. And so one of the very first things I say to pretty much all the clients I work with is you must meet people where they are. And so in this conversation this morning, it was like, it kind of had a light bulb to me, and I went, well, yeah, but we have to accept ourselves where we are too. Yeah, we have to meet ourselves where we are, and so much of the time we're rushing ahead. We're kind of almost living out in the future as the person that we want to be, or where we want to be in our lives, and we kind of get a little bit frustrated sometimes, and we feel that we're a bit slow on our progress, or that we're not quite where we think we should be, and so we can be a little bit judgmental, a little bit hard on ourselves. And so what's really important is that you make sure that you're standing next to yourself in your life. Yeah. So you come back and you meet yourself where you are. Because if you're racing ahead, then you're going to kind of feel like there's a dead weight that you're trying to pull behind you. But really, it's you. You know, we often think it's everything else. We're not doing the right things, or, you know, the right opportunities aren't there, or whatever it is. And we're often looking outside of ourselves and going, why am I not making the progress? Why is this not happening for me? And what we forget is that we're racing ahead of ourselves. So how do you find the balance between working for the future and pushing through to the things that you want to experience, and also making sure that you take yourself with you, so to speak? Yeah. Because we hear about the power of visualization. We hear about the power of living as if what you want or what you want to experience is right now. So how do you find this balance between those two things? Because they're pretty different, or they feel like they're very different. But really, so that I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that I've got on my list today to go through, to help you maybe check in and make sure that you're meeting yourself where you are, that you're not racing away in your head, and kind of, you know, running before you can walk, so to speak, because it sometimes takes a bit of time for us to catch up. Certainly when we're learning something new, or we're pushing the boundaries of what we're doing, or life is really busy, we can kind of race ahead and forget that actually we need to make sure that we're in our bodies and that we're truly here and now in this moment, not just pushing forwards. So coming back and meeting yourself, it's not always coming back, but it's almost like, you know how you can kind of start walking quickly and then you recognize that somebody's sort of dragging a little bit behind, they're a couple of steps behind you, and maybe your walking pace is a bit faster than what theirs is. That's kind of what this is. So if you can just maybe slow your pace just a wee bit and allow yourself to catch up, because you want to be walking in harmony with yourself. You don't want to be kind of pushing the boundaries so that you're kind of hanging off the back and there's this sort of slow, sluggish feeling. Because if you and every part of yourself is in alignment and in balance and in the same space, you're going to make congruent progress to what it is that you want to achieve, or on your own personal journey of growth, or whatever it is that you're working towards. Yeah. So making sure that you meet yourself where you are is the first step. So how can you do that? How can you make sure that you and every part of you is congruent and that you're all going in the same direction at the same pace? It's a little bit weird. It's kind of like me, myself, and I, but it's all you. But this can happen. We can kind of leave ourselves behind. So the first thing is that you can check in with yourself. So you want to check in. How am I feeling today? Am I feeling lethargic? Am I feeling tired? Am I feeling heavy? Why do I feel that way? Because sometimes you can feel that way because you're racing ahead. And because in your mind you've moved beyond where you are right here and now today, you can, when you look, it's kind of like looking back and going, come on, slowpoke, catch up. And that can leave you feeling quite disconnected. It can leave you feeling pretty heavy and quite tired. And so check in with your energy. How are you feeling? What's going on in your energy today? And you know what, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling lethargic, if you're feeling heavy, you're feeling like everything's kind of slow and difficult and heavy, then give yourself a break. Come back to neutral. Take your foot off the accelerator for a moment and just go, okay, we're just going to catch up here. We're just going to kind of reintegrate ourselves. We're just going to find our balance for a moment, because things don't, obviously, if my energy is so low and I'm not feeling great and everything's sluggish and difficult, then, maybe I'm just pushing a bit hard. Let's just step back a wee bit for a moment. Okay, let's check in, see how we're doing. So that's the first thing. Check in with your energy, see how you're doing. The second thing is self-care. What makes you feel good? Yeah. Are you doing things that make you feel good? Because it's really important that you recharge your batteries. If you're not physically recharging your batteries as well as mentally and emotionally and spiritually, if you're not doing those things, then you're going to feel a little bit like you're lagging behind. You're going to feel like you need to make progress, or you need to take action, or you need to be doing certain things to take you where you want to go, or just to keep up with your life, because let's face it, life's super busy. Yeah. But if you're not taking care of yourself correctly, you're going to be trying to push further and harder and faster than what you're actually able to keep up with. And so it's really important that you bring some acceptance to where you are, and some compassion and some kindness to where you are right now today. Bring yourself back, as I say, to center. This is not a race. Go at the pace that the slowest part of yourself, if you like. Make sure that everybody's in the same space. Make sure that your body, your mind, your spirit, that everything's in the same energy. It's in the same space, and it's all moving in the same direction, So what are the things that you need to do to make yourself feel good? Yes, there's things that you can do that you enjoy, but there's also things that you can do for yourself that make you feel good or help you feel good. So that could be things like exercise, making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you get enough sleep. What are some of the things that you can do for yourself to help to keep your energy up, to help support yourself, so that you can get through your life, or live your life, or achieve what it is that you want to achieve, go where you want to go, grow in the way that you want to grow, whatever it is that you're wanting in your own life. And this person I was having a chat to this morning, I was talking about one of the things that I've done for myself this year, and that is to get what's called a vibrational training machine. And it's basically a platform that vibrates, and you can do exercise on it. It's only 10 minutes a day, so it's not a big commitment, but what I found is the benefits of that are quite substantial. It helps shift my energy. So if I'm tired, or if I've been stressed, or things are feeling a little bit overwhelming, what I find is if I use this machine, it shakes everything up really, and it moves my energy around, and it makes me feel better. It makes me feel more what's the word, lighter, more myself. Gosh, everything's slipping today. I'm really sorry. I keep adjusting this, but I've sort of got myself somewhere different today, and it's not working out as well as I'd like. Hopefully I'll sort this out for next time. So doing those things that actually help you feel good, stepping into the flow. What do I mean by that? And that's really about alignment. It's about balance. It's about finding the place where you feel okay, stepping into the flow of what's happening around you, the energy that's around you, the energy that's within you. Because when you bring yourself into alignment and into balance, then actually everything flows effortlessly. It's all comfortable, everything just flows along, and it's easier. So you don't have to push, you don't have to force things. If you're taking care of yourself and you're meeting yourself where you are on any given day and every single minute, then, things are so much easier. Things are much more, they flow so much easier. You'll find the inspiration. You'll find the tasks that are in front of you, or the things that you need to do, so much more simple. You'll be more efficient. So it's really, really important to step into the flow. That's a really huge thing that you can do for yourself. The fourth thing is to give yourself time to adjust, or to adapt, or to assimilate. So when you're learning anything new, whether it's a new spiritual concept, whether it's something for your job, whether it's a new challenge that you've brought upon yourself, or that you want to step into, or something for your business, whatever part of your life it is, you might be a sports person, whatever it is, there are whenever we're learning something new, or we're practicing something, it takes time for it to kind of get from one part of our body through into the other, right? So we learn something in our head and we think we've learned it, but until it becomes automatic, we still have to really think about it and go, now, how did I do that again? What do I need to do? So you're kind of going through that process. So give yourself time to adjust and adapt and assimilate. It's like the information is new. You've got, years of programming, years of things that and when you add something else, it takes a little while for your brain to kind of catch on, and for it to kind of make that a part of its automatic processing, or make it easier for you. Once you know it, things are simple. You look back, something you learned a year ago, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember, that was easy. And you forget that at the time that was a challenge for you. And so it takes a little bit of time sometimes to adjust, or to adapt, or to assimilate information. And so give yourself time to do that. Excuse me. Don't be always pushing and saying, I should know this. I should have learned this by now. I should be able to do this. Well, do all the self-care things. Bring yourself back to center. Meet yourself where you are. Give yourself the time. It's okay. And it's far better to take a little bit of time to allow yourself to catch up than to keep racing ahead and feel like you're walking through mud all the time. Because that's how it feels, yeah? And you feel tired, and you feel heavy, and you feel lethargic. And really, this is part of self-acceptance, because there's a part of you that you're sort of actually judging and saying, well, why aren't you up to speed? Why are you not? Why is this not as easy as it should be? And it's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that your mind is racing ahead of actually where your body and your heart and every other part of you is. And if you just walk a little slower, everything will catch up. So show a little bit of patience, show a little bit of, give yourself some time to just adjust. And the other thing is to create space. So to create space for yourself to grow, create space for yourself to learn, to create space to use some spiritual practices if that's what you like to do, some meditation or some yoga, or to absorb new concepts, to take things in and give them a chance to flourish. So it's a little bit like, the point before I'm saying giving yourself time, but create the space to grow. Just give yourself some time out. Just allow yourself to be for a while, because we're always doing, and sometimes we just need to just be. And so being is when you're just allowing yourself to just kind of float and be where you are, and you're meeting yourself where you are, you have space to grow. You have space to get to know yourself a bit better. You can practice some more self-acceptance. You can do some of those self-care things that we talked about at the beginning, exercise, hydration, sleep, doing the things that make you feel good. And all of those things are about bringing yourself into balance. But if you're not meeting yourself where you are, if you're racing ahead of where your body and your heart and every other part of you is, and you're trying to push, and you're judging yourself, or you're giving yourself a hard time, or you're impatient with yourself for not being where you think you should be, you're making it hard for yourself. You're slowing down the process, So self-acceptance, and maybe it's not in today as big a thing as what we've been talking about over the last couple of sessions, but meeting yourself where you are is really, really important. It's part of that self-acceptance, where you're not pushing, where you're not expecting more of yourself than what you're able to give today. You might feel more energized tomorrow. And if you do the things to take care of yourself, where you come back and you meet yourself where you are on a day where perhaps, your energy isn't as high, allow it to be. Don't force yourself to do things that you're really struggling with. Move on, do something else and come back to it, Be kind to yourself. When you meet yourself where you are in any given moment, and we're all feeling different throughout the day, you can kind of push through, and that's okay as long as you're not racing too far ahead. But this idea of racing ahead of where you are and expecting more of yourself, and I should be here, and I should have done this, and I wish I was here, and what's wrong with me? And, and I've heard that voice in my head, so much to do, so little time. And in a way, you're so busy trying to push that you're not allowing yourself to catch up. When we race ahead of where we are, in a way, we're kind of judging ourselves, aren't we? We're sort of saying, well, come on, catch up. You should be here now. What's wrong with you? And so in doing that, we're making a judgment. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes find, or often find, if I feel like I'm not measuring up, I tend to kind of get a little bit resentful if somebody says to me I'm not doing a good enough job. I mean, I do try and rise above that and kind of go, well, somebody's trying to help me grow here. But sometimes if somebody criticizes me, I can sort of think, oh, well, you know what? What's the point of trying? Or I might get a little bit resentful and think, well, that's not really a fair comment, You give yourself anxiety. Yeah, absolutely. I do that. And so that's really what I'm talking about today, is that we race ahead of ourselves in our mind. And then we turn around and we're like, well, come on, catch up. And so that's mean. You wouldn't do that if it was a child, would it? Would you? I mean, if it was your best friend and she was just hobbling a bit and we had a bit of a sore foot and was a little bit slow today, you wouldn't be like, oh, well, come on. You'd slow your pace to match that of the slowest person, or the person that you want to be with. And this is it. You're with yourself the whole time. It's so important to slow ourselves down and not be so like a bulldozer. And I've been like a bulldozer in my life, and I've been push, 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 whatever it is that I want to achieve, or where I want to go, or some intolerance that I should have figured this out by now. What's wrong with you? You know, you've heard this a million times. Why can you not do it? And so there's this kind of self-judgment and self-recrimination and the racing ahead. And when you leave yourself behind, it's like you're dragging a dead weight. You're trying to push something that just isn't going to happen. And the thing is that no matter how fast your brain is, the rest of you is stronger and bigger. And if you're finding that there's resistance, stop for a moment and think, okay, what's going on here? Because we talk a lot about resistance, and we want to go somewhere, or we want to learn a new concept, or we want to grow, and there's this resistance. Sometimes you're just not quite there yet. Sometimes you just need to turn around and take a look and make sure that you're walking the same the pace as yourself, that you're taking care of yourself, that you're doing the things for yourself that you need to do in order to get you into the space where you can make progress, or you can integrate some new concepts, whatever it is that you're doing. So really meeting yourself where you are. As I said at the beginning of this, I work with heart-centered entrepreneurs, and the very first thing I say is you must meet people where they are. Those people that you want to help, those people that you want to guide. If they were already where you are, they wouldn't need your help, or where you perceive yourself to be. But, we can learn a lot from the people that we help, in the same way that they can learn from us. It's always a reciprocal thing. And so you must go, and it's not about going back or forwards. It's about meeting people where they are. Meet yourself where you are. That's part of self-acceptance. Give yourself a break. If it's not a good day, that's okay. Allow it to not be such a great day. If you've got some paperwork to do and all you can do is dream, and you're thinking about ideas and your brain's off somewhere else, then go with it. Allow yourself to dream and to do off with your brain for a little while. And then what will happen is that you'll be able to come back and do what it is that you wanted to do. But if you try and ignore what's happening in your body, and what's actually where you actually are in your energy, and what's happening for you in that moment, then that desire, that part of you that still wants to dream and focus and follow a thought and imagination, is going to keep interrupting what it is that you're actually trying to do. So just stop. Okay, this is where I am right now. I'm going to stop. I'm going to meet myself where I am today, where I am in this moment. I'm going to go and follow that. I'm going to go and dream for half an hour or an hour, or I'm going to write some ideas. I'm in the inspiration. Something's coming to me. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to explore it. And then when I feel my energy shift again, when I feel myself in another space, great. Then I'll go off and do that other thing. But we don't do that often enough, do we? We feel like this, I must do this, I must. And we kind of push ourselves. And in doing so, we're not being kind to ourselves. We're not accepting ourselves. And we're not doing the best thing that we can do in our lives, because really the only way we're going to achieve what it is that we want to achieve, or grow in the way that we want to grow, is if every part of us is in balance and is integrated. Take the easy route. Don't do it hard when you don't need to. That resistance that you're feeling is telling you that something isn't quite in alignment, that there's some part of you that's holding back, or something in your body that's tired, or whatever it is, and check in, find out what that is. Meet yourself where you are. Because if you take a step back, or you slow down for just a couple of minutes, gosh, everything's sliding today. If you take a step back, or just slow down for a minute and allow yourself to catch up. And in a way, that sort of looking back, if you like, or looking over your shoulder and making sure that, you're walking at the same pace, is about going, what is this resistance? What is this? What's going on? I do it. it's great. I come on here and I have a chat, and it's half the time when I'm talking, I'm reminding myself, I'm obviously speaking to you, but I'm also speaking to myself, because sometimes we need to hear this stuff. It's kind of like, because I do this all the time. I'm push, 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 and come on, get with the program. But I'm doing it the hard way when I do that. I'm making it so much harder for myself. If I take a moment, take a step, look over my shoulder and, oh, okay, I think I left myself behind there. Just going to slow up for a minute and find out what's going on. Why are you dragging your heels? What's happening back there? Stop. Kindness, acceptance. Okay. I'm going to go at the pace that the slowest part of me is feeling today, or the part of me that is strongest. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to meet myself there. I'm going to check in, and we're going to have a chat, and we're going to see what's going on. Do I need to do some self-care? Do I need to do something to take care of myself? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to have a bath? Do I need to go and read? Do I need to go and listen to some music? It is worth taking half an hour or an hour or a day to bring yourself back to alignment, because I'll tell you what, the next minute things will shift, and then you're just like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go now. So part of self-acceptance and meeting yourself where you are is compassion and kindness and care. Like I said, I use the analogy of a small child. You've got a small child and they're walking along in the back and they're scuffing their feet, and they're like, and they're kind of trailing. What are you going to do? You're going to reach your hand back and grab them and yank them and say, come on, hurry up. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we need to kind of, speed things up. But the kind and compassionate and caring and most efficient way to deal with that little child that's a little bit truculent maybe and isn't quite with the program is to go back, have a chat, sit down beside them and say, hey, what's going on? You're feeling tired. Sometimes you have to make a deal with them. But you do whatever you need to do to get back into the same space. And when you do that, you're in full acceptance of yourself. You're in alignment. Every part of you is in alignment. And then as you do then take the next step forward, wherever it is that you want to go, you're going together. Me, myself, and I, all on the same page, all moving at the same pace, all moving in the same direction. And it's easy. There's none of that trudging through mud going, oh gosh, this is so hard. That resistance that you're feeling is letting you know that you're not quite in alignment. Just take a look over your shoulder and see what's going on, metaphorically speaking, just kind of check in with yourself. Make sure that you're all together. What is that resistance? Why am I dragging my heels? Go where the energy is. Go where the ease is. Go where the efficiency is. Go where the flow is. And then when you've done that and everybody's okay again, and if you're feeling really good, then press forward. Keep checking in. Keep making sure that you're bringing yourself with you. Because that racing ahead and then looking back in judgment and, come on, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you done this? Why are you not got this yet? I don't understand. I should be here. That's just going to create more resistance, more walking through mud, more slowing down the other, this is part of you that's just pulling away, because we don't want to hear that. It's cruel. It's unkind. It's unaccepting. It's unloving. So think about yourself as maybe that small child sometimes that you would nurture and you would care for, and do the same for yourself. Come back, meet yourself where you are. Super important. That's the topic for the day, the lesson for the day, if you want to take it that way. But really it's about going, okay, another part of self-acceptance is meet yourself where you are, show kindness, show compassion, show patience, and let's just see if it makes a difference. So maybe Set yourself a task this weekend. Perhaps you could think about, what do I need to do to really take care of myself? What can I do today that will set me up for a good week ahead? You know, what makes me feel good? What can I add into my life? Like I was talking about at the beginning, more closer to the beginning of the video, where I was talking about how I went and bought myself a vibrational training machine. It's made a huge difference for me. You know, it wasn't really expensive. And if I do that every single day, you know, that helps. So do some of those things this weekend, and then check in with yourself after the weekend and see if you're in alignment. Check. Make sure that you are meeting yourself where you are. Take yourself by the hand and lead yourself gently. Don't race on ahead with high expectations and then look back over your shoulder and go, well, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, I should have figured this out by now. I've done this 50 million times. What the hell? Because you're just beating yourself up. I always, you know, it's like taking a baseball bat to your head. Don't do that. If you have to walk a few paces slower, or you have to retrace your steps a bit, that's okay. There's no race, there's no time scale. It's all good. Take the easy road. Bring yourself into balance, bring yourself into alignment, bring yourself into self-acceptance, meet yourself where you are, and walk forward in alignment and in balance and total integration, so that you can have an easier time. Things will come much more easily if you can do that, because then you're in the flow. And when you're in the flow, the wonderful things that you need to take you where you want to go will come rushing towards you. When you're racing ahead, push, 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 and there's a part of you that's just not quite there yet, you miss it. You miss the opportunities. You don't see them because you're focused on where you're going. But actually that part of you that's maybe going is a bit slower has an awareness that there's more. There's another way to do this. There's probably a better way to do it. So, you know, that part of your brain that wants to run, just walk for a bit. Walk for a bit. Meet yourself, walk in alignment, and then you get to fly. So much easier. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you for joining. Have a fantastic weekend. Do something amazing for yourself, something that makes you feel good, whatever that is. Try and have some fun. Maybe push a boundary a little bit, not in terms of running ahead of yourself and forcing something, but maybe find some joy in something that you know, you might not do. Try and find maybe that childlike bit of joy that just wants to go and do something a bit funny and a bit silly, because it's a good thing for the soul.